Well, the JAI has been really amazing with this Japanese Invitational and its relationship to us at Infinity. It's allowed us to tell the full story of Japanese luxury, Japanese sport, and really iconic Japanese cars throughout history that have led up to really the great Japanese cars of today. So this is a great opportunity. The whole booth is designed with this in mind this year especially. And take a look for yourself. It's wonderful. And I think one of the great parts about this exhibition here is that in the context of Pebble Beach and these great Bentleys, Duesenbergs and Jaguars of pre-war, post-war, that you also are able to see in the Japanese context. There are some Datsuns from the 20s. There are some great Contessa here. And you can see how the Japanese were also inspired by the world at that time. And it really allows everyone to see how all humans love cars and how they made great cars at those times. Because I myself, I'm in love with the history of our company, because we started in 1911. Three investors made a car called the Dot. In the context of the Japanese Industrial Revolution of the turn of the century, 19th century, they were making tiny cars because the context of Japan was that way. But then when they wanted to improve, they started consulting with the English and with the Americans. Our first head engineer was an American, and in 1914. And he was part of the making our cars a little larger, a little bit more solid, and then the performance bug came in. So all of that, especially with the first Grand Prix in Japan in 1936, when the Japanese engineers got to see a Silver Arrow, and they, they're like us, they turned the gas on, and they also started going for speed. So that's one of the great things. You can see it all here, and you can connect the dots. Well, like I mentioned, there's a few very old Datsuns over there, which then they almost look like miniature American cars. They're like almost a half scale, but they're full scale. Those are great, and I think people should take a look at it. And then, of course, cars like the Contessa, and for me, the Silvia, these are cars that, in a sense, there's some Anglia, and then there's some inspiration of European cars in here, and even maybe a Corsair and other things like that. And then my personal favorite car is actually the Silvia, because this one, I happen to know the original exterior designer and the original interior designer, and they're now almost 90. And they come to Design Center all the time, and we have a special project we're going to do about that. NSX, GTR, some of the Subarus. I mean, especially the 80s cars are super cool, because they really represented this optimism of Japan when Japan was really getting traction. They were being recognized with Miata 300Z and cars like this as being designed. And so those you have to see, and of course you have to see the FX, which is not a classic, but it represents a kind of third wave of Japanese great design. So I think everyone just should mingle with the cars.